I mean, nobody wants them to win more than I do. I'm a huge fan of this ownership group. I think they've done an awesome job. They have tried their best. They're trying many different ways to win. They're trying to figure things out, obviously, and they haven't been able to. That's been a problem with them, that they haven't been able to figure things out. And in the process of not being able to figure it out, it's not because it's a lack of trying. They have been trying. This is a team that, man, they went out and got themselves, a top goaltender. They went out and got themselves one of the best coaches out there. And now, Dale makes another move. You get rid of Trocheck. You bring in some guys that, you tell me you're going to shore up the defense and all of that. And they lose 5-3 last night. But the part I find humorous, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it's, why do we torture ourselves? If the Dolphins aren't good enough, just say it. If the Heat isn't good enough, just say it. I don't understand this. And so with the Panthers, yesterday I'm going back and forth with some of the followers and some of the hardcore Panther fans. Well, if you get a hot goaltender in the playoffs and you can go and I know all those cliches. I know about all that stuff that every once in a while, a hot goaltender and gets it going and all, but they have not played like that all year. Bob has not played well all year. Their defense never plays well all year. They're not a tough hockey team. They've never been a tough hockey team. They had toughness with Goodbranson. They had some toughness then. In the mid-'90s, they were really tough because that's the only way they got to the Stanley Cup, And look, we have no problem calling it like we see it here. You're not going to hear it on the fluff stations, right, that the intercom stations that carry the Panthers. They can't say that Dale Talon needs to get fired. Nobody has the balls in any of those stations to say that because they can't. Because of course, Len Whiny Whiner will then come down. Hey, don't pick on the teams, okay? They're our partners, So I know what's going on, and so you're just going to hear fluff, and it's either fluff on radio from the flagship, which has got maybe one live show left on that station, and then you hear fans just filling their heads up with crap. And that's the part I never understand. Just be brutally honest, man. That's all. There's nothing wrong with that. I love my Panthers. They're not good. Again. And the funny part is that you start with this I don't deal with this mental masturbation of how many points they're out of the division or the wild card or anything. I don't care about that. I always look at the overall conference and I look at the total points, and I see where you're at. Where you're at tells me exactly what you're going to be. I don't need to know anymore. I don't care if you sneak in as a wild card. I don't care if you sneak in as a third-place team in the division. I don't care how you sneak in. It doesn't impress me because in the end, you're not going to make any kind of impact whatsoever in the playoffs. So why am I going to fill my head up with a bunch of crap? If they happen to surprise me, then that's fine. That's great. But honestly, this is a team that needs another general manager, unfortunately. Dale Talon's had 10 years. You're up 3-1 after the first period. I'm getting DMs because, obviously I've been slamming Dale Talon pretty hard the last few weeks. And so a lot of people already have kind of, gotten on that because I'm the only one doing it in town. And so people are like, well, what do you think? They're up 3-1. And I go back and I said, the game's 3 periods. Check back with me after the game's over. So when the game's over, do you think they check back with me? No. No, they were ready to pounce on me. And it's like, I'm not rooting against the Panthers here, man. I'm just telling you what I see. And if you don't want to be honest with yourself about what you see, I can't help you. You want to kid yourself that Ryan Tannehill will become a franchise quarterback? Knock yourself out. You know, I had people, ex-players and everything, telling me, well, Mike Tannenbaum, you know, did a great job with the Jets. They got to an AFC championship game. And you know, whatever. You want to fill your head up with crap that Mike Tannenbaum will all of a sudden become a good GM? You learn your lesson. You know, it is what it. I can tell you, hey, Pat Riley will bounce back because he's done it over and over and over and over again. So while he hit that terrible patch with those guys, I can live through it because there's a track record of what you've done for us, right? A huge track record with Pat Riley. There's no track record with Dale Talon. It's 10 years already. Now you trade away one of your better offensive players, and I get it, offense is not really your problem. You have a surplus of offense. You have no balls and no defense. I get it. You need balls and you need defense because this is not a tough team, clearly, mentally or physically. Physically, they get manhandled all the time, and mentally, well, you're up 3-1. Perfect example yesterday. Yeah, it's my kind of water. Anyway, so just one of those things that it's crazy that we torture ourselves this way, and I don't understand it because I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't mind just being brutally honest about something and just say, hey, man, this is what it is, and we got to face the music, and we'll overcome it, and whatever.
Hope turns to delusion.
Yeah, that's a great line. I love that. I love that because it is delusional hope. There's no doubt about that. And I don't know why people do this. The Panthers' season is over already. It's been over for a couple of months already because they've already shown you their stripes. They show you who they are. Dale Talon put together a weak-minded and definitely not a physical team. And now he's scrambling again to make more moves. And if you think about it, in 10 years, he's been an utter failure. Yeah, you found a couple of guys. You know what also sucks? I'll tell you one thing I am getting tired of with the players, including Barkov and everybody else. Well, we got to be, tougher, and we got to, play harder, and we got to be more concentrated, and we got to. How many more team meetings are you guys going to have? Yeah, that's the other thing. That is the one thing. Okay, look, I've had enough of Dale Talon. The second half of this is I've had enough of the talk too from the Panthers. The players need to shut the hell up already. All they do is make excuses after every game that we need to do this. Dude, I'm tired of hearing this. You don't do anything. And I told you this already. I'm not a hockey expert, so if you want to slam me, go ahead. Barkov is not a number one player. He's a great two-way player, but he can't be your best player because he's not the take charge guy. And there is no take charge guy on this team. There's no guy, not even Barkov. Barkov's too nice. He's just a great dude, a hell of a player, a super talent, but he's not wired to like rattle cages and lead a team and get pissed off and just do something that lifts the team. No, and he's not the guy that is also going to become selfish and when it becomes 3-3 last night, and you know that fourth goal, come on. You knew whoever scored that fourth goal was going to win this game. And that's where a sumbitch needs to take over. And Barkov's not that. And by the way, never will be. He is what he is now. Awesome player, great two-way player, one of the best players in the league. Not the alpha dog in a locker room. Okay? Let's just call it like we see it. And I just don't want to hear players anymore saying about, whatever excuse they have after the game, and we've got to play better, and things are getting, tighter, and this and that, and whatever. I just, it's just talk. It just is. And that's why I just say, enough already. Enough. I guess we just got to live out the season, and then I hope that Vinny Viola and Doug Sifu do the right thing, and it's going to be a tough one, but they're going to have to fire Dale Talon and go find another general manager. And maybe Coach Q has got a guy that he can work with that he knows that he'll be comfortable with. But Dale Talon has had more than enough time to prove himself. It's over, bro.
It's the only thing the owners haven't done is change the general manager.
Right.
I mean, they've done everything else. You got to think that at some point the light goes on, right?
No, I'm sure they're already pissed off, dude. They spent a lot of money on that goalie.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, they're spending a lot of money on Coach Q, I'm sure. And now they had to trade away a guy in Trocheck that they probably love too, watching, grow up in this. And let me tell you, Trocheck is a feisty guy. That's kind of, out of all the guys, I know he's small and all that, but he might be one of the guys that has more fight than anybody else on the team for his size.
You can see when we were down, he'd get pissed off and take the puck to the hole,
Now, he hasn't been the same player since the injury. I get it. But his mental makeup, I got to say, I kind of like Trocheck more than a lot of the other players.
He wouldn't shy away from getting in your face.
No. I would love to put his attitude into Barkov. Barkov is too nice, man. It just is. It's crazy. It really is, but, man, what a shame. Got a loaded show for you today. Let's see. Josh is chiming in saying, what up, Big O? Daniel Amador with a good morning. Big O, what do you think are the chances of Miami landing any of these free agents? Brandon Scherf at guard, Jack Conklin, or Connor McGovern at center? I think there's a chance they can land one at least. You're not going to land all three, but I definitely believe that there's a chance for one of them. Those are the kind of guys that I've been telling you. Did you notice, by the way, how some turns in the media now have been like my boy Barry? Barry, at the beginning, when the Dolphins had the money, they're going to be aggressive and all that. And then, right from the get-go, I told everybody, no, they're not. They're going to be smart about their money. They're not just going to sign all kinds of guys. They're not going to sign older veterans. I'm the guy that was telling you from the get-go that they would sign guys in free agency, probably the guys that are, mid-20s, those, not the 30-year-olds. They're not giving 4-year contracts to 30-year-olds, okay? And now even guys like Barry have kind of picked up on it, like, they're not going to be going crazy with the money. Now they kind of figured it out, what they're trying to do. I got to tell you something. I've been so ahead of the curve than everybody else in this freaking town when it comes to what the Dolphins are doing. I'm the only one that kind of gets it at times. Anthony Perez says, glad to see you back, bro. Anthony, it is great to be back. I appreciate it. And the downloads exploding, so thank you so much for the incredible support that you guys have been displaying. Talon should have been fired yesterday. Well, listen, yesterday, next week, at the end of the season, it's all the same. What you can't do is you got to stop letting him make moves. I'm sorry. That's what you have to do. Forget sports for a second. How did you go to a concert in Clearwater on Wednesday night and do a show in South Florida Thursday morning? Do you have a private jet? All right, Nico, let's fill you in on what happened. Okay? All right, so I get my gout attack. Well, actually, I had the gout attack for a couple days. It probably started like on a Friday night. I was lying in my chair, sitting there, and I had 2 or 3 of my little dogs on top of me while I was watching. But I was in an angle, and I thought I had twisted my back, and I go, oh, man, I got a little bit of a back pain. And I thought it was because I was sitting kind of scrouched down and had the dogs on top of me, and I was watching, I forgot what I was watching on Friday night. And and you stay at a position because the dogs are lying down and they're kind of calm and sleepy, and so you don't want to bother them and all that. And I'm a big softie with my dogs. I love my dogs. And so that's where it started, and little did I know that was gout. That was a hip pain. That was a gout shot from the hip that started. But I had never had the gout attack in my hip or even in my knee. It was always in my toe and my ankle is where I've had all my gout attacks. And so I didn't even think of that. So it started to bother me a little bit more as the weekend went on. Monday, I get this excruciating pain, and it's a kidney stone. And so now I've got the kidney stone pain, and that's what I'm thinking, that all this pain was coming from the kidney stone starting to travel down, and then obviously it's hitting all those nerves, so it was sparking everything.
You had an extra day of pain, though. Didn't that start on Sunday, actually?
Friday
no, Sunday night with the kidney stone.
Oh, yeah. It was like Sunday night.
Yeah, Sunday you had clued me in that you were a chocolatey mess.
Yes, that's right. It was Sunday that it started. That's right. Sunday night. And so then, it was Sunday. That's right. And then by Sunday, I'm starting to, I knew it was a kidney stone. So, hey, you want to go to the hospital? I'm like, no, I'll just drink it out like I did last time. Because that's all they do. They don't do anything at the hospital. They give you a painkiller. And then they tell you drink water, and because if the rock isn't too big, then you can pass it. You know what I mean?
I was going to say, because if it's big, they end up pulverizing, pounding the crap out of it and beating it down.
Right. So I end up drinking a bunch of water. A ton of water, and I end up obviously getting rid of it on Monday, and then I realized that I was still the kidney pain was gone, but the pain overall on the side was not, and then I realized that it was all gout related. So I started taking my medicine, my prednisone for the gout, and I could still move around. My problem was on Tuesday when I woke up and I wanted to do the show. I had been, I'd had a long Monday and then everything else, and I wasn't drinking water, and I was dehydrated, and I got out of the shower, and I was in a hot shower, so my blood vessels opened up. I know this is a long story, but I just wanted to kind of give you guys what really happened to me. And so my blood vessels opened up, and I go and I start the show at 6 a.m. And I give a yell like I normally do when I start the show. Hey, what's up? All that kind of stuff. And I immediately started feeling something in my chest. And the video was up for a little bit, but you can't tell anything in the video because I kind of kept my composure, and I looked at Bill and I said, hey, hold on a second. I just got up and I walked out of the studio, and then Bill's looking at me going, hey, are you all right? And I said, hey, you need to cut off the YouTube right now. I don't think I can do a show. And immediately I almost fainted. Okay, he saves my ass because I was blanking, and then I was leaning towards against the wall, and then Bill holds me up a little.
You were going down.
Yeah,
you were going down.
Yeah, and so then I was able to catch myself there. So that all would have happened on air if I would have stayed there trying to get my whatever. But I have already gone through that feeling once when they put the 5 stents in my heart. And I came home and I took a hot shower, because I love taking hot showers. I took a hot shower and I walked out. I almost fainted because of the steam opening up the blood vessels and everything rushing. It was too much for me. And that in the morning I was dehydrated and it was too much for me. Okay. And I knew that I didn't have the breath to talk for 4 hours. I didn't have the breath to talk for 15 minutes. You know what I mean? I just knew it. I know my body already at this point. I kind of knew, and I was all right. I was fine, but it was one of those things that I had to get water, and I got water, and I was hydrated. I was fine. So I rested, and I was good. And so then, was that Monday or that was Tuesday?
That would be Monday.
Monday's when we did the 6 a.m. show? or Tuesday?
No. You know what? I'm sorry. Monday we canceled VSS because of how bad you were. Tuesday you tried to do the show.
Right.
That's the day we're on early so we could leave.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So then I get my composure, and so remember, all of this, I couldn't go to the combine, right? So we weren't going to make the investment to the combine because I'm using the money for something else. And so I said, well, if we're going to stay in town, UFO is playing in Ponte Vedra, Florida, on Tuesday night. I had front row tickets for that concert and backstage passes to go meet the guys. And so he drove up there. I was a complete passenger the entire time, which was great. And we went and saw the concert. Because I could do everything except I could not talk for 3, 4 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour. I just didn't have that kind of energy in me. So the next day, they were in Tampa. So we drove down from Ponte Vedra to Tampa, stayed in a hotel. And if you remember the show, we did an hour and a half. I was in that hotel. And then we did I kind of built up my air, and I did an hour and a half. And then we posted that, obviously. And then we went and saw the show in St. Pete. So actually, Nico, I saw UFO twice. And we went backstage twice. So
you were still feeling pain though in your leg.
Yeah.
Bit.
Oh, I still have pain right now. I still have gout.
Yeah.
I still have gout right now. I still have pain in my leg. When I'm walking, I am still in pain. I can't really stand for a long time, but I could do everything else. It's just radio is just something that this requires a lot of energy, man. And you have to have enthusiasm. I'm just not a monotone guy. So if I can't be myself, I'm not doing radio. And then I did the show at St. Pete. Then we came back overnight. And I slept maybe 5 hours. And then I did the show yesterday. We did 3 hours yesterday. And then today, then last night, I returned the car. I went to dinner with my daughter to celebrate something really, really special. And then we came home. I watched TV for about an hour, went to sleep, woke up at 6 a.m., and here I am, ready to go and ready to rock for 5 hours today. And today I'm fine. I'm good. I got great energy. I feel good. It's just I got to get over the gout. But, yeah, there you go. That's been my week, man. That's the week I've had. Think about that. Yeah. I got to power through, man. That's the way I am. I'm not gonna give up in life. My wife was like, she did not want me to go to the concert at all, and I was like, hey, I'm fine, relax, I'm good. I know my body, I'm good. I got my watch. I check my ECG. I check my heart rate. Everything's fine. Everything's good. I feel good. Just I got to make sure I hydrate, obviously, which I've been doing a lot of because I slacked off a little bit. But there you go, man. That's the story, Nico, and I'm sticking to it. How about that? It was a hell of a week. That I can tell you. It's been one hell of a week, but man, you could suffer, but I gotta enjoy myself. I'm gonna work hard, but I'm gonna enjoy myself. So if if UFO's in town, or not in town, but in state, I will try to get it done.
You trying to go on a cruise?
No cruises. No cruises. No cruises. Have you guys ordered masks yet? Any of you out there order masks because of the coronavirus? Just wondering, because I would imagine we're about to start seeing people wearing masks. I will be, by the way, I will be wearing a mask on the plane going to Vegas. Now I'm wondering, will there be a Vegas? I'm just saying.
Oh, man, that thought sucks.
Vegas is a place that people come from all over the world.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And we're still,
No, and this thing ain't getting any better.
No.
It's only getting worse. So.
Didn't they just get a case at Baptist? I think I saw CNN reported Baptist. Yeah.
Do you remember World War Z?
No?
No. The zombie movie, Brad Pitt.
Oh, yeah.
Where Israel closes off its borders,
yes,
and
yes.
they have the 6 guys that sit down at a table, and if everybody's okay with it, somebody has to abstain and have the opposite, and that's why they decided, you know what, the only way to save ourselves is to close the border. We might be at that point, man.
Yep.
You may have to stop international travel altogether.
I think you should at this point. Why let it get out of control?
Because it's only getting worse.
Yeah.
You got to do something to put out the fire or help it get in that direction. It's just getting worse.
Yeah. I tell you because I will probably wear masks if I have to go into an airport. For sure.
Yeah, but like you said, man, Vegas, there's all these people from all over the place. You have to be like you're in China.
So you walk around Vegas with a mask?
Yeah. To be safe. By
the way, is there dolphin masks? Can I get a dolphin mask with the old logo for the draft? Anybody got that? Any idea? Are they making masks with the old dolphin logo? I'm going to need it.
Because it's new, it'd have that killer whale,
Yeah, no, I don't want the killer whale. We got a loaded show today. Anthony Chang from the Miami Herald is going to join us now at 9:30. We'll talk about the struggling Heat. At 10:30, Cody Benjamin, XFL, CBS writer, will join us, so we'll talk all things XFL with him. Then when we move over to Hialeah Park, loaded show again, Brad Hopkins is going to join us. B-Hop, the former Titans great. We'll talk a little Titans, Tannehill, and Brady. 2 o'clock, Cole Kubelik, XFL analyst. Okay, so I get you a writer and I get you an analyst. How about that? At 2 o'clock. So Cole's a cool dude. We'll have some fun with him. 2:30, Will Carroll, the injury expert, will stop by at 3 o'clock. Steve Calabro, the Hialeah Park casino manager, will give you our picks. We'll do our XFL picks, all of that. And we'll segment also the XFL picks. Bill's going to do that now every week, segmenting my red hot XFL picks. And then, of course, our Dolphin president at 3:30. So loaded show. Let's switch gears. Let's talk a little Miami Heat with Anthony Chang from the Miami Herald next.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
Plus tax tag title. It includes $8.99 dealer fee on approved credit. Offers end 11/10/19.
Over 1,500 Toyotas are on the ground, and truckloads of new 2020 Toyotas just keep on coming. To eliminate all 2019 models, Toyota of Hollywood is holding the ultimate 2019 model year changeover event. Make us an offer, any offer, and you can buy a Toyota at up to 50% less than their original MSRP when you unused.
50% less.
A pre-owned 2019 RAV4, not $3,000, $19,775. A pre-owned 2019 Camry Elite, not $26,000, $17,775. A pre-owned 2019 Corolla Elite, not $22,000, $12,775. Pay up to 50% less. And Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer, based on total retail sales of new Toyotas in the Southeast region for 2014 to 2018 per SET, on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street. Open till midnight.
The world's biggest band is coming twice. Metallica. Providing the Welcome to Rockville Music Festival. 2 different nights, 2 different sets. The weekend of May 8th to the 10th. Go to WelcomeToRockvilleFestival.com for all information. Get your tickets on sale right now. The one, the only Metallica. Go to WelcomeToRockvilleFestival.com. is the Big O Show. This 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 is the Big O Show.
All right, welcome back.
This is the Big O Show.
Hey, we're fixing the audio now. We're trying to fix it now. I know it sounds overmodulated. I thought it didn't sound bad, and then I raised my own iPad, and it sounded like crap. So Bill's working on that now and see if we can fix the audio on YouTube. We apologize for not doing it right. Anyway, we're going to get into a little basketball with Anthony Chang, as always. Heat beat writer for the Miami Herald. The Heat tonight take on Dallas at the AAA. Anthony, how you doing, my man?
Doing well, Big O. How are you?
I'm doing a lot better than the Heat at this point in time, and way better than the Panthers. Which beat would you? Which beat do you? Would you think it's tougher to cover right now, the Heat or the Panthers?
I don't know. I mean, that's a tough question. The Heat have had some. I mean, Panthers' loss last night was bad, but the Heat have had some really bad losses here. But I think the Heat are, even though they're struggling, they're going to make the playoffs. The Panthers, on the other hand, they might not. So I'll say the Panthers.
Yeah, no, definitely, dude. Plus, you always have Pat Riley, which is hope because of everything he's done in the past. Whereas, dude, Dale Talon now, it's 10 years. And what he did in Chicago doesn't matter. So you have to go with what he's done here, and he's actually accomplished nothing whatsoever here, which is sad. In 10 years, he has nothing to show for what he's built with the Panthers. That way, you found a couple of players, but you've won nothing with it. So it's just, it's a shame. Now, on the Heat side, Anthony, I'm not like disappointed. I'm kind of like, okay, this is what I thought they were going to be, because I thought they were a 7-8 seed, a first-round exit. Well, I think life is balancing out. They were never 24-8, man. To me, it's the Heat conditioning and all that stuff. Coming out of training camp, they're going to be better prepared than everybody else. Those young guys surprised a lot of people. Now the season's gone on. Those young bodies, they're not ready for the brutal, march that is the NBA in 82 games. They're wearing out. They're not good enough defensively right now. All of them need to be in the weight room, all this stuff. I just think it's kind of balancing out. I don't really think this is such a negative with the Miami Heat. I think this is just more reality. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, I don't think they were ever 24-8. I don't think they were like number 2 team in the East, number 4 team in the NBA good. I don't think they're as bad either, I think they're somewhere in the middle there. They're probably going to finish as a 4 or 5 seed, which is what I thought at the beginning of the year. So to your point, it's kind of going to end up probably like we thought. They're probably going to be an underdog in the first round here, unless they somehow jump to number 3, which doesn't look likely at this point. And
wait a minute, with Anthony, how do you have them staying at 4? Why? Because they got lucky with the injuries with the Embiid?
Yes, but Philly's playing awful too. I mean, they're playing pretty. They're in the same boat as the Heat. I'm not saying the Heat are going to stay at 4, but
I think the Pacers pass. I think the Pacers pass Miami.
Pacers could, yeah. I mean, the Pacers are a game and a half behind the Heat right now, and they're kind of trying to figure it out a little deeper. I mean, all 3 of those teams really have not been playing well lately, but I mean, he could finish anywhere, like you mentioned, from 6 to 4 realistically. I mean, 3 I guess is still possible, but probably not going to happen. So anywhere between 4 and 6 he could finish. Look at Philly; they lost to Cleveland a couple of nights ago, just like the Heat did. So it's not like the 76ers are playing good basketball, and they have a West Coast trip coming up, and Embiid and Simmons are going to miss probably the entire trip. So it's tough. It's like who wants it less, right? I mean, it's going to be I think it'll be a close finish for both those teams. But back to the Heat, they were winning a lot of close games at the end of the year, which really, that evens out. Like you mentioned, that's going to even out. And they're losing a lot of close games now. So they started 11-3 in clutch games, and they're 3-9 since. They're now 14-12 overall in those close games. So I mean, you take the fact that teams are now starting to hit threes. I think the Heat have held opponents like the second lowest 3-point shooting percentage in the NBA, but over this 2-7 stretch, teams are shooting 40% on threes. So, and they're the same looks. I mean, opponent 3-point shooting percentage, that's like one of the least sustainable things because teams are eventually going to hit their threes. And that's what's happening here over this stretch. So just put those two things together, things are really starting to even out for the Heat. I think that's what we're seeing.
So, I know that after the game, one of your questions to the coach was about the defense. And what's your theory on why they have struggled so badly on defense? I have my own, but I'm interested to see what you have.
I think I honestly don't think they have that many good defenders. I think it starts with personnel. And it really has to be personnel. It's not scheme. I mean, Eric Spoelstra has proven in the past he can make a top 10 defense out of pretty much anything.
Yeah,
I think they finished with a top 10 defense the last 4 seasons. They have a lot of young guys. They have a lot of guys who aren't proven defenders. I think that's one of the reasons they made that trade for Iguodala and Jay Crowder. So we want about Jay and Andre. They have a reputation as good defenders. And ball containment is an issue. And when you don't have, I'm not saying that he needs Hassan Whiteside, so I'm going to make that clear. But when you don't have a rim protector like Hassan Whiteside, and you can't contain the ball in the perimeter, that's a big issue.
Yeah.
I mean, teams are getting to the rim at will, and you look at the opponents where they're shooting against the Heat in the restricted area, and it's like one of the most efficient in the league. The Heat just don't have a good rim protector, and Bam's a great defender. Great versatile defender who can guard guards and guard pretty much every position. But he's not a rim protector, traditional rim protector, and the Heat don't have that. So I think those are the two biggest issues right now: containing the ball, and the fact that they don't really have a traditional shot blocker down low.
So, and you and I are kind of in the same boat. And I was actually one of the guys that's a monster Heat fan over at Toyota of Hollywood when I was broadcasting yesterday. He was like, no, the Heat will be fine. They'll advance to the second round at least. I'm like, man, you're dreaming. That's not going to happen. They can't play defense. And one of the things that right now, I think, I talked to you earlier about the young guys. They ran into a bunch of young guys that are fantastic on offense, right? But they don't really know about them defensively yet. And we won't know for another year or two if Duncan Robinson actually can ever be a good defender, if Kendrick Nunn can ever be a good defender, if any of these guys, Tyler Hero, whatever, because none of them are good defenders at this point. But you got to rely on them for your offense, obviously. And so this is it's kind of a catch-22. Now, Spo has developed the offense, but he and his staff now have got to figure out if they can actually develop defensive players out of these guys, because the Iguodalas of the world and all that's just a Band-Aid at this time. You got to make some really tough decisions down the line that if some of these guys aren't good defensively, you're going to have to make some changes, and that's going to be kind of tough. But that's kind of the rock and a hard place that they're in, right, Anthony? That these bodies aren't developed, their minds aren't developed. Physically, they have not seen everything in an NBA court like they're seeing it now. This adjustment for them takes a couple of years. Like, look at Bam, where he was in year 1 to where he is in year 3. We kind of have to go through the same progress with all these other young guys.
Yeah, and it's a very good point. I mean, their core is young. They miss Tyler Hero right now. I will say that. I think is he going to be the savior? No, but I think they do miss him. Definitely offensively late in games. Just one guy who could dribble into his own points. He's obviously a very good shooter late in games. He plays his best basketball in the fourth quarter, it seems like. And he's not the best defender, but they trust him. They definitely trust him. He's played. I think before he went out,
rebounding. He does a little
rebounding. He tried. He plays with effort. He was playing the most fourth quarter minutes out of anybody on the team. So this is that alone. I think Spo trusts him maybe more than most of the young guys on the team. So that tells you something. So I think that will help them. But yes, they're a young team. Right now, I mean, you saw in the last game against Minnesota, late in the game, Spo was making 3-for-3 substitutions, like offense and defense. Just because there's a lot of one-sided players on this team right now. There's a lot of guys you put in there for offense, and then when you have a timeout and you need to play defense, you take 3 of them out to put, Andre, Jay, and Derek Jones in, for instance. Like, it's just Spo's in a tough spot right now because it's almost like pick your poison. Like, do you want to play an offensive style and score points, or do you want to get your defenders in there and stop teams? So there's not many guys who can do both in the team. Obviously, Jimmy and Bam are 2 of them, but they're even looking for more. And I think that's a kind of a big issue with this roster right now.
Anthony Chang, of course, does an excellent job of covering the Miami Heat for the Miami Herald. Follow him on Twitter at Anthony_Chang. Let's move over to that subject you just mentioned, Jimmy Butler. I said this when this happened, when they acquired him, and I'm sticking to it several months later here in the process. If Pat Riley doesn't acquire a bigger star this offseason to at least try to make a run next year, in years 3 and 4, Jimmy Butler will not even be a very good number 3 on a basketball team. That body's breaking down. His offense is not closer offense. He's not a consistent guy. He's not a guy you want to give volume shots to. I love what he's done with the Heat. His attitude, Anthony, the way he's come in and he has shared the ball, infused, confidence in these young guys. He's been a real leader. He's done the things I didn't expect him to do, and I commend him for that. But the reality is, I see an older player with a lot of miles that is wearing down. And as this contract goes on, it's going to be Bobrovsky's contract is going to be the worst contract in town. But this contract will be number 2 in years 3 and 4. So next year, I know the free agent class is kind of dry. I know it's not a great one. I know they don't have a ton of assets either, and they don't have a ton of space either because it's for 2021. Right. What are your thoughts on all of this? Because I think if you wait to year 3 and 4 to get that superstar that you need, Bam can elevate to be the number 2 guy, but Jimmy will be a very expensive number 3 at that point, and that's going to be a burden actually for this team. Whereas you may want 2 more years from now, the aforementioned Tyler Hero, if he learns how to play a little defense, he becomes really your number 3 guy. So your thoughts on the rock in a hard place that Riley is in with Jimmy Butler, and what do you see in Jimmy? Because I tell you what I see every night, but you're there in the locker room and in practice. Yeah. So you tell me what you see.
I mean, it is concerning that he's not shooting threes. I think he's made like 4 threes since January 1st, which, he's never been a great 3-point shooter, but he's always been decent enough that teams have to respect his shot. And it seems like he's kind of just gone away from the 3-point shot, and in the playoffs, teams are going to expose that. So I think number one, that's concerning. Other than that, I think he's had a solid season. He gets to the free throw line a lot, and that's a big part of the Heat's offense.
He's living off of that.
That's his best offense, the free throw. So, as a defender, the Heat haven't been a great defensive team this year, but he's a good individual defender.
Yeah.
He is doing for, who I don't know what he's going to look like. You might be right. Obviously, do I think he's going to be as good as he is this year? Probably not.
And then next year, another year of wear and tear on that body. I mean,
right.
You're seeing it, right? You're watching that body is, whatever they say about it, you can see that he is not as durable as you would like at this point, right? You can tell.
He's only missed 4 games this year because of injuries. I know he's missed 10 total, but, 1 because he was sick, and 3 because of the birth of his baby, and the last 2 missed were because of, the personal reasons he was out for. So he's only missed 4 because of injury. So it's not like he's been injured too much. He's still getting to the line a lot, which is a sign that he's getting into the paint. But, he has played a lot of minutes compared to Tibbs, so there's that. But, yeah, in 2 years – but, look, I'll say this. In 2 years, if he's your third-best player and you end up signing a Giannis, you end up getting Beal somehow, you have a good team. If your trio is, for example, just hypothetically, Beal, Bam, and then Jimmy is your third-best player and Tyler Hero somewhere in there, you're going to have a really good team. So, yes, he'll be paid a lot of money, but they still have enough space to sign a max contract in 2021, no matter what Jimmy's making. So I still think, maybe there is a little bit of a drop-off in 2 years, but, again, if he's your third-best player, it's 2 years. It's a year and a half.
Look what's happened to his offense now, dude. He's stuck on free throws, can't hit threes. What's going to happen next year, and then what's going to happen in 2021 at that point? I'm terrified of that. I was terrified of that contract from the second they signed it because I knew that they needed another star because he's not a number one. He's a nice number one right now for the transition that Miami's in and with the young guys. And he's done such a great job with these young guys, man.
Right.
I really admire what he's done in that sense.
I still think, I'm not saying he's going to ever be, Kyle Korver, but the 3-point shooting thing is interesting. He's proven to be a decent 3-point shooter over his career, and he just hasn't taken the 3-pointer. Like, he's totally lost confidence in it. But it's almost like that could still come back at some point, whether it takes an off season or, the Heat are going to obviously emphasize that as he gets later in his career, that he has to start taking threes. So, I don't expect him to, go a 2-month stretch with 3 or 4 made threes. I don't think that's going to happen that often, hopefully moving forward for him in the Heat, because he's going to need to shoot threes, especially as he gets older. And if he doesn't, then you're probably correct. You're probably correct that this might be something to be concerned about. But I think in a couple of years, yes, there will be a drop-off, but I think it'll still be good enough that if he's your third-best player, you're a contender in the Eastern Conference.
Anthony, is there any hope of acquiring a disgruntled star this offseason? Maybe I don't even know if the Bradley Beal deal will become available. Beal or somebody else. I know that it's for 2021, but is there something out there that could be had?
You know how it is. Oh, the NBA, you just never know. All of a sudden, a star could come out that someone's disgruntled and he wants to trade, and we don't even see it right now. So, that's always possible. Look at Russell Westbrook. That came out of nowhere last offseason when he wanted out of OKC. The Heat were in that didn't happen. The Heat know they have to add a player. They told Jimmy, when he signed with the Heat, we're going to be aggressive in trying to add talent to this team, to add another starter to this team. So they know it. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be in on anybody who's available. Beal becomes available somehow. Again, he just had his extension, so who knows with that. But I'm sure he will be somewhere, kind of in that race. So they're going to be very aggressive. They're not going to wait until 2021. If they have to, their positions will be flexible in 2021 and be a player in 2021. But if a big name that they like becomes available, they will be aggressive. And, look, they have assets. That's one of the most encouraging things about this season is these young guys have proven they're quality NBA players. Yes, they have flaws, but they're players that they're on good contracts, they're young, and they're going to improve. So, and teams like players like that. So they have assets that teams will covet. But it's just about finding a guy who, again, asks out or wants to come to the Heat. And we'll see what happens over the next few months in the offseason.
Anthony, one more thing before I let you go. The Heat is always so open with information. They give you everything that you need out there, injury and all. So when's Tyler Hero coming back? Come on, bro. Give it to us. We know the Heat is a complete open book. Easy to cover, easy to crack.
Yeah. They tell us everything. I should just text them right now and see what they say. But no, he's out of the boot. I saw him walk in the locker room a couple nights ago before the Minnesota game. He was walking without a limp. He's been doing court work. He's obviously listed out for tonight. It seems like they're being really cautious with it because at first, if they're listing as an ankle injury, I asked Tyler Hero when we were in Chicago for All-Star Weekend, is it an ankle injury or a foot injury? And he said it's the foot, which is a little more concerning when it's the foot. So I think they're going to be cautious with it, but I would say probably within the next week or so, I would expect to see him back. He's been doing cold work. He's been kind of increasing his workload, so I think he'll be back soon here. Myers Leonard, on the other hand, he's out of the boot, but he's still walking with a pretty heavy limp. His sprain was pretty bad, so I expect Tyler back definitely before Myers.
All right, good stuff. Follow him on Twitter at Anthony_Chang. He'll be at the Heat game tonight in the AAA, taking on the Dallas Mavericks. And we'll see if the boys can get back on track and get a win. Anthony, as always, my brother, thank you for taking some time, man. I really appreciate it.
Of course, thanks. So have a good day.
Thank you. There you go, Anthony Chang, Miami Herald. Good stuff there. It's it's not that bad. See, Panthers are one thing. Heat are completely a different story. The way I see it.
The one bastion of happiness that we have is we have a young core.
Right.
If we didn't have a young core, then there would be like, wow, this is not looking very good.
And they have a first-round pick next year.
There's room for, something we never have.
Right. So they have a first-round pick next year that they can add. Maybe they can hit on that one too. And again, it's Pat Riley. He's been there and done it. The only thing that I worry about is Jimmy Butler. While I love what he's done as a player here, I just look at what's coming down the line, and I'm very fearful of it, man.
Like we've talked about here, you know what? We need Bam, somebody else to step up. That way Jimmy isn't being used as much. He's not as vital a piece, you know what I mean? And that way he can last.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if he's your number one or number two guy, that's too much involvement.
Right.
He is going to break down.
No doubt. So that's a real concern I have. But overall, they're not having a bad season. It's just they overachieved early on, and things are kind of balancing out now. That's all.
They're a victim of their early success.
That's all. There's nothing. I don't see. The Panthers is different. You've had all these young guys you've been developing for years, and then you brought in the coach and the goaltender because that's kind of what you needed, and you needed so you can make a playoff run. Not to just make the playoffs, because you don't give a general manager 10 years so you can have a team that just is good enough to make the first round every once in a while. That's not why you're paying Dale Talon all that money. So that's where that's a concern. The Heat, not a concern, man. Not a concern. It's just, it is what it is. They are what they are. They're young, and we got to give them some time, and they got to grow, and that's part of this entire rebuild. They have not had Barkov and Trocheck and Huberdeau and all these guys and Ekblad for 5, 6, 7 years like these guys have been now with the Panthers. That they've been with maybe not 7, but they've been with the Panthers easily 4, 5, 6 years, a lot of these guys. So you've had plenty of time to develop them, and you haven't developed anything as a team. That's the difference. These guys are all young. We just got Nunn, Hero, and Robinson, and Carlos Silva. We just got these guys this year. This is our first year with the Miami Heat. I mean, it's a lot to ask. That's why I think there's a lot of perspective involved in all of this, and we've got to look at it for what it is. The Heat is still rebuilding. They shocked us with that start. They really weren't that good. The Panthers, on the other end, It's not about a rebuild. They already built their team, and you built a pretty weak team. There's really no hope on that team. There's no future with the Panthers. The only future is mediocrity. That's it. Or that you're barely, a playoff team. You're a borderline playoff team. That's your future. Because there's no gradual build here whatsoever. That's the difference between the two. All right, 1 hour down. We got one more to go. In hour number 2, Cody Benjamin from CBS Sports. He covers the XFL. So we will talk to Cody Benjamin at 10:30. When we come back, let's talk a little football. There's a bunch of stories coming out of the NFL Combine. That's next.
Plus tax tag title. It includes $8.99 dealer fee on approved credit offers and 11/10/19. Over 1,500 Toyotas are on the ground, and truckloads of new 2020 Toyotas just keep on coming. To eliminate all 2019 models, Toyota of Hollywood is holding the ultimate 2019 model year changeover event. Make us an offer, any offer, and you can buy a Toyota at up to 50% less than their original MSRP when new and used. 50% less. A pre-owned 2019 RAV4, not $30,000, $19,775. A pre-owned 2019 Camry LE, not $26,000, $17,775. A pre-owned 2019 Corolla LE, not $22,000, $12,775. Pay up to 50% less at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer, based on total retail sales of new Toyotas in the Southeast region for 2014 to 2018 per SET, on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street. Open till midnight.
Thinking about
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million, whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
The world's biggest band is coming twice. Metallica. Headlining the Welcome to Rockville Music Festival. 2 different nights, 2 different sets. The weekend of May 8th through the 10th. Go to welcometorockvillefestival.com for all information. Get your tickets on sale right now. The one, the only Metallica. Go to welcometorockvillefestival.com.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All righty, we are back. Hour number 2 of the program coming to you live from Craig Zinn's, Acura of Pembroke Pines, 15601 Pines Boulevard. Come on out here, man. Join us. As always, great place. Right now, the ILX is $209. The TLX is $249. The RDX $339. The MDX $349. Only $29.99 to its signing, plus tax tag and registration, folks. And, listen, they've been a proud sponsor of ours. Now, this is their 10th year of sponsoring our program. And we tell you all the time, Larry Schlossberg and Pat Nasto, Tony Stampone, all the great people out here. You go to a service center, so if you own or lease an Acura, go see Mike Chan and Jordan Ferber. They do an awesome job. We got a sales staff that is second to none out here. They will take care of you. There is no finer Acura dealership in the country than right here at 15601 Pines Boulevard, just off of I-75 in Pines. It is Craig Zinn's, Acura of Pembroke Pines. Cody Benjamin will join us at the bottom of the hour, so we'll talk a little XFL with him. Got to give you my picks later on in the afternoon. I will give you my picks with Steve Calabro at 3:00. I will take a little segment there and give you my picks in the XFL. We went 4-0 against the number last week. We are 10-3 against the number on the season so far in the XFL. So you can say that we have been extremely lucky. That's what we have to say. What am I going to tell you? I'm smart or something? That everybody knows I'm not. Come on. So we got all of that going on. The accidentlawfirm.com text line 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105. Let's see. Marco says audio is fine on my end. This is how it sounds when outside of the studio. Lower your inputs and raise your master outputs. Well, I think it's been fixed now. Okay. Let's see. Good morning, gents. LOL, you're the ultimate groupie. Glad you're better. South Florida needs you upright, man. We need real sports talk, not college frat boy shenanigans with 1,000 commercials per hour like other shows in town. And no balls, too. Let's see. SoFlo fan says, Big O and Bill are troopers, my man. Best radio YouTube show in South Florida. Been listening to you the past 20 years. Love the show. Thank you. Drubo says, hi, fellas. Loving the mouth shut approach of the Dolphin Brass. Off-topic questions. Oh, Bill, did you ever see Elvis Bishop in concert? Digging his voice. I know who Elvis Bishop is, and no, I have never seen Elvis Bishop in concert. And he does have a groovy voice. And yes, this Dolphin front office is completely different than what you've had in the past. You don't have general managers that are working writers behind the scenes nationally or locally to try to spin stories for them because they give them stories, okay, because that's how it works. A lot of times, okay, you become besties with some coach or general manager or personnel director, and then in turn, you're not going to write any stories that are negative about them. You're not going to say anything. Look, watch ESPN or anything, any outlet, and watch beat reporters, whether it's TV, whether it's writers, follow the trend and see what they write. And when things go wrong with the team, see who they're always pointing out and see who they always leave out. And then that'll tell you right away where they're getting a lot of their stories from. Okay?
Is that how you could tell who they're hanging out with at the bar and having dinner with?
Yeah, exactly. And look, sometimes there are, and I know it because I've seen it firsthand. I've been on the road and I've watched it. And there are reporters that won't rip into a player that needs to be ripped into because they don't want to piss off the agent that gives them information. And this happens a lot in the NFL. I mean, a ton in the NFL. You know, that's I got a lot of agent friends, a ton, and I know pretty much all the top agents in this business. The one thing that they do know about me, kind of like you guys, hey man, I'm cool with you. I'll give you your love when you need it, and all that. But if your player is not a good player, I'm going to say it. Just because you and I are buds, not going to stop me from saying it, okay? You know, I'm as tight as it gets with Adiza Bakari. He's a really cool guy. We smoke cigars, we talk. He's got several players that I know for many years. And he's got one player that, you know, when I had him on, he had Le'Veon Bell, and I said to him, yo, you got to talk to your client not to leave two skanks in his house while he goes work out. And he's like, oh, come on, man. I can't believe you went. You know, you can go to our Adiza Bakari interview. It's still there. From the East-West. That's one of the best interviews you'll ever hear from an agent. Why? Because we're tight. And he won't be that brutally honest with most people. But he can be with me because he knows I'm not going to BS him. Even about his own guys. You know, it's just they kind of know that I'm just going to be a straight up guy. I'm going to tell you, and you may be able to like try to defend your player, but you really can't go after me because you know I'm right. It's like the Panthers right now. I love the Panthers, man. I love Doug Sifu and Vinny Viola. I think they're excellent owners, man. I really do. I think it's a really good organization. I think they're nobody is trying harder to win than those guys. Top to bottom, I love that organization. They made a bad decision now with Dale Talon. That's it. And what are you going to do, argue with me? It's 10 years. If you can't handle the truth, then I'm sorry. Then if you want me to, blow smoke up your ass, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. That's not my job here. My job here is to call it and be objective and say, hey, look, this is what's going on. And if I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong, because I know I'm going to be wrong a lot. But this one right here, I'm not. Hey, it goes that way. But we got to be honest, man. We got to call it like we see it. And that's the real problem that's going on. And obviously, local radio, you're not going to get that because of the politics. They can't be honest, unfortunately. Big O, do you think this whole thing with Tua and Herbert are smoke screens? I don't know what you're talking about. What's this whole thing with Tua and Herbert? You're talking to me in like smoke screens yourself, bro. I don't know. What's the whole thing about Tua and Herbert that you're talking about? Gordon Smith says, hope they don't take a QB in the first round. Oh, that's not true. If they take Jordan Love at number 18, I'd be really happy. At 5, I'd be happy because I like Jordan Love, but I would think it's a little bit of a reach. Plus, you can get yourself a hell of a tackle at number 5, and you can really shore it up. But I can also understand reaching a little bit because, he's a talent. But I disagree with you. Jordan Love at 18, I would be very happy. 2 at 5, I would be kind of like Jordan Love. With Jordan, because of the inconsistencies, I'd be, I don't know which one we're getting. But still, the upside's there, and he's healthy and all that. So, okay, the gamble. With Tua, like I told you, I'd be, but please take another quarterback, is what I would say. Let's see. I have a bad feeling that if we pass on Tua, it might bite us in the ass. Yeah, that's what everybody just keeps thinking Drew Brees. Problem is, this guy's got several injuries, so we have no idea. I just wouldn't take a chance on him because I think he's a sack of injuries. Fantel to GPP Centra and Pellegrino, those two clowns are buying it. Okay. Talk about the combine. I will now. Go Gators. All you got to do is look at the Finns' recent track record. The GM and Flores are conservative. They're not reaching for one player in year 2 of the rebuild. That's right, SoFlo fan. You have the right attitude. Alex Diaz, that they love Herbert over Tua and will draft him at number 5. Alex, have you heard the Dolphins say that? Or have you just heard reporters report that? I try to enlighten you guys every day on this. And I show you all the examples, right? Players quit on the Dolphins. No, they didn't. Everybody wanted to get traded off the team. No, they didn't. They were tanking. No, they weren't. So the Tua Herbert thing, no, man. When have they told you they're drafting Herbert? That's all stuff straight out of the media. Dolphins aren't talking. So that's not the Dolphins. Ty from the Bronx, who's always on with us here, he's always like, he regurgitates every one of those fake reports that's out there. Every one of those fake reports, he says, hey, look, they want Herbert. No, they don't. They want Tua. No, they don't. They want Jordan Love. No, they don't. You don't know what they want because they haven't told you what they want. They haven't told any reporter what they want. Chris Greer does not talk to any of the beat writers and doesn't talk to the national guys.
The other thing is, would it be smart for Miami to tell everybody what they're doing anyway?
Right, yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, the politics that they used to play behind the scenes, that doesn't happen anymore. These guys are tight-lipped. This is, they're not Pat Riley in the Heat. Nobody is Pat Riley in the Heat. They are the best, man.
You know what? If you leak any information, let it be misinformation.
Right.
So you don't let anybody else know what you're doing and you misdirect.
Right. The Heat just don't leak out any information. Like nothing. They don't even want to mislead you. They're like, hey, we'll talk when we want to talk. Get the hell out of my face. The Heat is awesome. They're the best. None of us still know what Green was high on that day in that hotel. None of us still know to this day what Gerald Green was on when he got arrested for, when he was a Heat player at that. None of us still know to this day. crazy. All right, so combine-wise, let's talk a little bit about the combine. A couple things. One, you are what you are, okay? I like Jalen Hurts, the human being, the athlete. There's nothing not to like about Jalen Hurts, personally. But I will tell you this about Jalen Hurts. He's not an NFL starting quarterback. He could be a gimmick guy at the next level. You could use him as a backup to, Lamar, or Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray. Those kind of offenses that are run with athletic guys. But he's not even those guys. Okay? Well, actually, I think at times he can be better than Lamar passing, but he's still not consistent. And I saw him at the Senior Bowl, and he wasn't anything great. Now, yesterday, he's zipping balls all over the place. And here's where people get ridiculous. Well, he looks like a different player out here. He's throwing against air. There's no DBs. There's no pass rush. He doesn't have to look over mammoth offensive linemen. We get ridiculous here. What was that stat that I was looking at? I'll give you one that it's kind of it's right up the alley with all this crap. Like Jalen Hurts all of a sudden is a different guy. Kiss my ass. Same guy, nice kid, all that stuff. The nice kid syndrome, right? Tim Tebow, Ryan Tannehill, Lamar, Josh Allen, all this stuff. The nice guy syndrome wants us to kind of root for a guy and put him up there. And
that's one of my favorite segments you did a little bit back. Nice guys don't complete passes in the NFL.
No, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I'm trying to find this story because I found it hilarious because Henry Ruggs ran a 4.28, and I like Henry Ruggs. Okay, I mean, he looks pretty. He looks like a talented kid, and it's great that he ran a fast time. But I found this article, and it has, because everybody mentions Chris Johnson, but there's several other players. Like Ross has a 4.22, and he's been a sack of injuries. But if you look at the list of players of the fastest guys, they've all been kind of busts. It's funny. It's really like they're not impressive at all by any stretch. I got to find the list. If I can find it, I'll read it to you guys because I thought it was pretty funny how you get excited. Here it is. You get excited about a guy and his speed. Here we go. John Ross 4.22 has been a disappointment. Rondell Menendez 4.24. Jerome Mathis, 4.26. Dree Archer, 4.26. Stanford Rout did a little sum, 4.27. Marquise Goodwin, nice little player, 4.27. I mean, it's great that you run all these speeds. Doesn't mean you're going to be great. Jacoby Ford ran a 4.28 and didn't really end up transferring to being anything big in the NFL. J.J. Nelson, a 4.28. And, yeah, he had a couple moments, but Jalen Myrick, 4.28. That doesn't mean anything. It's nice, but are you a great football player? And then Jalen Hurts, he has a nice little run here, throwing at air, and we're going to start thinking that he's a different quarterback. He's really helped his stock. Why would he help his stock? He was mediocre in the Senior Bowl. And we know what he did at Alabama and Oklahoma. You kind of know what he is. He's not a real quarterback. He's a gimmick guy. And this is some of the things that, and I tell you guys this every year. Like when we were going to go to the combine, Bill was kind of talking to me about all the 40 times and all this other stuff, and I told him, be ready. While I'm there, I don't care about any of that. I don't worry about 40 times or any of that stuff. I don't care.
300 reps on the bench press.
Yeah, none of that matters to me whatsoever, man. I never pay attention to any of that stuff because it doesn't matter. The tape is already there. See, when I go to the East West and the senior, at least they're in football atmospheres. They're going to feel a pass rush. There's a DB covering the wide receiver. It's a challenge for them. You know, they've got to look over the line. They've got to adjust. They've got to move around, whatever. These are things that I can actually measure and I can see. You know? And that's why like when we were at the East West Shrine and the Davidson kid just blew up. And I'm like, whoa. Okay, I knew about the FIU kid, Morgan, but I never knew anything about this Davidson kid. I don't watch Princeton football. I'm like, okay, but this guy's kind of intriguing. But why? Because I saw him in a football-like atmosphere. At the Combine yesterday, if Davidson's throwing, that does nothing for me. Yeah, it's nice to see Herbert throw those bombs. It's nice to see Eason throw a bomb. It's nice to see Jordan Love throw a bomb. But you're throwing it against nothing. There's no pass rush. You haven't been moved out of the pocket. You didn't have to adjust. There's nobody covering. Come on, man. What the hell are we doing?
I'm going to quote you. They're in underwears and T-shirts.
That's it, man. It's the Underwear Olympics. It means absolutely nothing at all.
Do you think maybe some of the Jalen Hurts hope is because of what Kyler Murray did in Arizona, the little bit of success he had?
Well, yes, there's no doubt that what Kyler Murray did and did at Oklahoma, and obviously Lincoln Riley, what he's been able to do with Baker, with Kyler Murray, and now with Jalen Hurts. But I think Jalen is one of those kids that you root for him because he handled the Alabama situation with incredible class and maturity that you wish your son and daughter would look at that and say, look, this is how real people handle adversity like this and face it and overcome it and all that. And he played well too at Alabama, and he came off the bench when they needed him and saved Tua's ass. All of that. So I think a lot of us admire Jalen Hurts. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody that has got some scruples can say anything negative about Jalen Hurts in that sense. Now, as a quarterback, which is the only thing I'm talking about, at the NFL level, he's just a guy. He's going to be a gimmick. I don't see him as a guy that translates over to being an incredible quarterback. And that's why yesterday, this Combine stuff, I get it. And they put it on prime time now so they can make it more of a dog and pony show. I mean, it's funny, man. Jordan Love did throw some bombs, and the Eason kid is, I know a lot of you have been asking, and then when you see him throw those bombs yesterday, you're like, okay, what's up with it? He can't move. He's like a statue back there. Not the best leader, not the best guy in the locker room, not the best guy in the huddle. And the fact that he isn't athletic. Ooh, in this league now, they want you to be able to move around a little bit, okay? Not that you have to run the RPOs all the time and all that stuff, but you've got to be able to buy yourself some time with your legs. He's not that guy. And Eason doesn't have a lot of tape also because of his short time at Georgia, and then he has his tape here at Washington. So there's not enough consistency anywhere with Jacob Eason. Now, you may get drunk on his ability because he can throw the ball a mile. Doesn't mean he's going to be a good quarterback, but he can throw the ball a mile. And so I know I got a lot of that yesterday on Twitter and on the DM. Hey, what do you think about Jacob Eason? Why aren't people talking about him more and those kind of things? And that's the reason why. How about Mitchell Wilcox, the kid, the tight end? Did you guys see that? Running the gauntlet? Dude, that ball hit him right in the face. And then it discombobulated the rest of the run through the gauntlet. because he must have dropped, I think, like 3 other balls, bouncing off his chest, his hands, whatever. You could tell that it flustered him, which it's understandable. But, dude, he took that ball right to the face. And you know that thing is that's coming at you. Okay? It's not a floater. They're throwing bullets at you, man. You got to catch them. I felt bad for the kid. That was kind of, I saw that in the low lights. All right. We are going to take a quick break here. Cody Benjamin from CBS Sports is going to join us. We're going to switch gears. We're going to talk a little XFL. Love talking XFL. I have enjoyed it, and I've noticed something too about it. I'm gonna ask Cody about this. They're getting more and more prime time. I don't know if you've noticed that. Their Sunday game started at 2 and 5. Then it was 3 and 6. This week it's 4 and 7. So they're going even later now because the ratings are actually good. The attendance is actually good. Not great. And they're not going to be the NFL. And we got to stop, thinking like that. But it's been entertaining. It's also entertaining? Watching my teeth move and straighten out thanks to Eric Mudias. At Mudias Dental, I've been telling you about them now for a couple of months. 305-821-0231. Save it on that cell phone. 305-821-0231. They are the implant and Invisalign experts. That's why you want to go. State-of-the-art equipment. They're even open to like 8 p.m. on sometimes during, a couple times during the week because some customers can't make it, 9 to 5. They got to work. Some people don't want to take off work and lose money to then go to the dentist. And you don't want to go a second time. So if you don't want to go get a crown and then walk away with a temporary for a couple weeks while they ship it off to make the crown, they make the crown right there at Mudias Dental in minutes. They get the measurements and they put it in. You don't walk away with an implant, with a temporary. You got to do an implant. They're not going to let you walk away with a temporary. You're going to get the real one right there and then. That's what they do at Mudias Dental. State of the art. Tell them that Big O sent you. 305-821-0231 for MudiasDental.com.
Plus tax, tech title. It includes $8.99 dealer fee on approved credit offers and 11/10/19. Over 1,500 Toyotas are on the ground, and truckloads of new 2020 Toyotas just keep on coming. To eliminate all 2019 models, Toyota of Hollywood is holding the ultimate 2019 model year changeover event. Make us an offer, any offer, and you can buy a Toyota at up to 50% less than their original MSRP when new and used. 50% less. A pre-owned 2019 RAV4, not $30,000, $19,775. A pre-owned 2019 Camry LE, not $26,000, $17,775. A pre-owned 2019 Corolla LE, not $22,000, $12,775. Pay up to 50% less at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer, based on total retail sales of new Toyotas in the Southeast region for 2014 to 2018 per SET on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street. Open till midnight.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
The world's biggest band is coming twice. Metallica. Headlining the Welcome to Rockville Music Festival. 2 different nights, 2 different sets. The weekend of May 8th through the 10th. Go to welcometorockvillefestival.com for all information. Get your tickets on sale right now. The one, the only Metallica. Go to welcometorockvillefestival.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
All right. Let's switch gears, baby. Let's talk about the new football league. Yes, week 4 of the XFL. I, of course, am all drunk on the XFL. I am loving the XFL. I need to get my PJ Walker jersey from the Houston Roughnecks. A man that is covering the XFL is Cody Benjamin from CBS Sports. You can follow him on Twitter at Cody J. Benjamin, and I think he is wearing right now a PJ Walker jersey as we speak. Is that correct, Cody? You got your PJ Walker jersey on right now as you're typing away?
It's an imaginary one, but it's there for sure. Listen, I appreciate you having me on, and definitely that's the most appropriate topic to start on. I mean, PJ Walker has been sensational, really. I mean, I think a lot of people look at him and they say, how is this guy not back in the NFL? And maybe it's just a matter of time. But yeah, I'm definitely, I don't know how you can, even from an objective standpoint, it's hard not to like what you're watching with PJ Walker.
I got to tell you, Cody, I'm at a point where I was saying, if you're the Seahawks, if you're the Ravens, if you're the Arizona, Cardinals, you're thinking maybe we should sign this guy to back up our guy. Now, I'm a Dolphins fan. Hey, we're talking Tua and Herbert and Love and all that. Hell, you know what? Take a stab at P.J. Walker too, man. What the hell? I mean, and I would imagine that somebody in the NFL saying, this guy's skill sets, I can work with this. And in today's NFL, we need guys like this that can move around and throw at different arm angles and use athleticism and all of that. And he's been a real revelation in all of it.
Absolutely. And I think, actually, I think the NFL has already attempted to do that. I know there were reports that at the end of last year, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they attempted to sign P.J. Walker mainly because they were preparing to go up against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, and they saw him as kind of a guy that could come in. And teams do this with their practice squads all the time. They try and mimic opposing players. But the Steelers tried to do that in the XFL, according to the reports. Well, they blocked it because he was already, his rights were already in the XFL. Now, we'll reach a point eventually over the summer where the XFL rights are they drop for a little bit, and teams can come in and sign these guys. And yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, he's going up against XFL defenders, a lot of former NFL guys. It's hard to say how that would translate when he's going up against an NFL defense, whether that changes the way he reads things or the play speed. But, you can see just, from the eye test. I mean, he passes it. He's athletic. He's accurate. A team that the Indianapolis Colts, that's who he was with You know, they're kind of looking for a quarterback. I mean, even if it's just a backup arm, you know, like you said, Miami, a team where let's just take a stab. And, you know, look at Gardner Minshew. That's a late-round draft pick. You know, guys like that who kind of, they bring this kind of moxie under center, and it works. So, yeah, I would be surprised if he doesn't get a shot.
And by the way, we can't use that whole philosophy. Well, he's throwing against XFL players. Well, what do we do in college? Because college players are throwing against college players, and we think Tua's going to translate, and we think Joe Burrow's going to translate, and we think Herbert could, and maybe Jordan Love and all that other stuff. So if we could do it with them, we can do it with this guy, and he's doing it at a pro level where there are guys there that have pro experience, pro coaches, all of that. I think it's been just one of the great stories in the XFL. And, you know, that's the other thing, Cody, that you need guys like this. Because even though you're not going to really be a star-driven league because the stars are going to be in the NFL, but you kind of need to develop young stars in a way, find those diamonds in the rough that have fallen through the cracks of the NFL, and that this is exactly what lifts you up one way. And then in the offseason, when they do get signed by the NFL, I think that ends up adding even more credibility to the XFL when they start doing that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think ideally you described it exactly. I think, you know, ideally for the XFL to draw people to watch their games, to want to tune in, they need guys, you know, they need their own. They're not going to tune in for necessarily the 40-year-old backup from the NFL that, you know, it's a PJ Walker. It's a look
Josh
no further
Johnson,
than
Josh Johnson.
Yeah,
Tiamu.
Yeah, I mean, even exactly Jordan Tiamu. I mean, the casual NFL fan, you know, they don't know who that guy is. I mean, he came in. He's looking very good as well. And you look even on Houston, the rest of their roster. I mean, a guy like Cam Phillips, who's leading the XFL, pretty much every major receiving category. And the other thing is, you know, part of the beauty of it, and you're talking about what makes PJ Walker possibly NFL caliber. You know, he's not a guy that's been dumped by 10 different NFL teams over 5 years. I mean, he is still very early in his career. Same with Cam Phillips. I mean, these are guys that maybe didn't hit on their first try in the NFL, but it's not as if they've already been deemed by 20 NFL teams, you know, unworthy of a backup job. These are guys just still getting started, and you know that's good for the XFL, but it's good for the NFL as well.
No doubt. I'm blanking on his name now, but the big white receiver that kind of plays tight end H-back type role that he's, man, I'm trying.
Nelson Spruce, are you thinking of?
Yeah, Spruce, dude. That guy has to get. I mean, he looks like a Patriot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would say, you know, when I saw the highlights of him first, because you know he broke out really early on.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mean, from the eye test, it's not like he's doing something special necessarily. I mean, he's really
open.
just
He gets open.
Yeah, he gets open. He gets open and he makes the catches, and that's kind of, you know, there are NFL teams that would take a guy like that. Again, you have to be able to get off the line and get open, but I'm sure exactly a team like the Patriots, I mean, they scheme up a way for him to get open, and if he makes the catch, that's all you can ask for.
By the way, did you notice that the Sunday games they're becoming more and more prime time? Like, you know, they started at 2, then they went to 3, then they went to 4. So you've gone from, you know, all the way now to start at 7 o'clock for the second game on Sunday night. You know, because remember, the first week it started at 5. Then it started last week at 6. This week, the Sunday game starting at 7. They're pushing it more and more to prime time areas.
Yeah, and I think that was a strategy really of when they set up the schedule, possibly banking on, you know, potentially drawing more viewers, but I think even more so, just the fact that, and we kind of have taken it for granted, I think already, the fact that they have this TV deal. I mean, these broadcast networks that are really, it's been a pretty seamless transition to, you know, obviously there are, you know, kinks here and there that have to be worked out, but from week 1, I think we saw kind of the fun of just having a transparent broadcast, you know, seeing these guys, you know, mic'd up and interviewed on the sidelines, replay officials. I think it's been great for the league. I mean, if nobody can find your game on any platform, I mean, no one's going to care. And so I think it's just the way that they have it lined up is to their benefit, and I think it's working so far.
Cody Benjamin, of course, covering the XFL for CBS. And by the way, what Cody was just talking about, Saturday's game at 2 is on ABC. Saturday's game at 5 is on Fox. Sunday's game at 4 p.m. is at Fox Sports 1. And then Sunday at 7 p.m. on ESPN2. So they have done an awesome job of putting it on networks that people can find easily and you can watch it. Now, Cody, I got to tell you, some of the storylines also are great in this league. First of all, the Wildcats. Winston Moss goes ape crap on his defensive coordinator, fires Pepper Johnson. The second week they come back, they play a really good game overall. They lose a close one. And then last week I took them +8 because I wasn't sure that they would win, but I said, you know what, I love them +8, and they ended up kicking ass. What a turnaround for the Wildcats, and Josh Johnson was dropping dimes last week.
Yeah, I think honestly it's I actually just spoke with working on a story. Really every week it's on the XFL, but just spoke with some staff members on the Wildcats, the defensive staff, and they even admitted, when they got rid of the defensive coordinator. I mean, when they made that change after one game, I mean, it did catch some of them off guard. It wasn't necessarily something that everyone knew about that was coming, and so for them to turn it around, yeah, it's been a great story, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, Josh Johnson has been, we've seen early in this league, if you have a good quarterback, you probably have a good chance of winning. And that's we see that in every level of football. But with Josh Johnson, ever since he's kind of settled in, the Wildcats have been a different team. And I think going up against the Guardians this week, even on the road, I mean, I like them. I think that they're clearly the better team there. And, you can't rule them out yet.
All right, so who's worse, dude? The New York Giants or the New York Guardians?
The Giants? Oh man, that's an easy comparison. I mean, the Guardians have no offense. I think.
Holy moly!
We can. Oh, did I say the Giants or the Guardians there?
It doesn't matter, really.
No, I guess not. But no, I think the Giants get a lot of heat, and deservedly so. But no, I mean, there's not much really worse than you could do offensively. From the Guardians' perspective, I know this week we might see a little bit more of their reserve quarterbacks with Matt McGloin banged up, and they just Kevin Gilbride there. I mean, the play calling, the offensive line, the whole package really has not been pretty. So yeah, I mean, the Big Apple needs kind of an injection of talent for next year.
Yeah, no doubt. And McGloin, you could tell that he got a lot of heat from his reactions in week one. That the way when he was interviewed last week, boy, he handled those interviews completely different. He was professional, and he was like, okay, he probably got so much heat the last time around. He go, I have to change my ways here. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, I guess that's kind of the play he had to make. But I think, as much as people have poked fun at his performance, and that's justified. I think part of the fun, really, of the XFL has been those transparent moments, and you're not going to get. I said this to someone else recently. If this were the NFL, we don't get that kind of mic'd up moment with like a Patrick Mahomes because, first of all, he's good enough to not be in that position where he's having to be so frustrated on the sideline. And I think the circumstances, the Guardians being so bad, Matt McGloin having such a bad day, that gives us some of the most fun sideline clips, like that we got from him. So obviously he changed his tone because he wants to probably keep his job, but I think it's good entertainment, at least for the league.
So what'd you think of the whole Johnny Manziel thing? I love the fact that it doesn't look like the XFL is going to go, in that direction of trying to add some clown for actual ratings and add, a train wreck that really then takes away. Well, you and I were just talking about how P.J. Walker in the NFL taking guys like Cam and P.J. will add more validation to the league. Adding the Johnny Manziels will then knock your league down, correct?
I mean, I agree. I think, I agree. I think pointing out P.J. Walker is a perfect example because if Johnny Manziel were to have come to the XFL, I mean, I know the Roughnecks coach, June Jones, I mean, he made it pretty clear before, the rosters were set up. He indicated that he'd be willing to reunite with Johnny Manziel, and Houston made sense as a team because he's from that area. But we see now, I mean, if Johnny Manziel would have went there, we may not be talking about P.J. Walker starting at quarterback. I mean, we may because Manziel might have been benched by now. But we don't get that whole great storyline. And the thing is, P.J. Walker's making himself a story because he's playing good football. I mean, that's the end of it.
That's it.
Johnny Manziel would make a good story or good headlines, good clicks at least, just because he's a name. And maybe he can throw the football, but I think right now, if you're the XFL, these are the kind of storylines you want to promote. I mean, P.J. Walker, the guy has no history. He's just a young kid making great plays, and that's what you want.
Cody Benjamin, by the way, does an excellent job of covering the XFL for CBS. Follow him on Twitter at Kobe J. Benjamin. All right, let me ask you this. Aaron Murray looks like he's going to end up playing in Tampa this week. He played terrible, made some terrible throws early in the season. The Cornelius kid, to me, he'll have some moments, but it doesn't convince me. So I'm just wondering, the direction that football is going in, why isn't that Quentin Flowers, who a couple weeks ago came in and gave him a real spark right away, but then he went back to the bench again? Why isn't Flowers getting more time and more consideration in Tampa?
Hey, that's a question I'd love to ask to Mark Treston, and I think a lot of XFL fans, not even Vipers fans. I mean, they want to know why. I mean, when he came in, he kind of almost helped them steal a victory. I mean, he scored. He led a scoring drive when he's come in. He's looked pretty decent. And again, like you said, this is, the P.J. Walker's, the extending the plays. Jordan Teamu does this very well. That kind of style, especially if you don't have a great offensive line or a great supporting cast, that kind of style can only help. I mean, honestly, I just think it comes down to the coaching staff. I mean, I don't know why he's not in there. I mean, Mark Trestman has, he has a resume in the NFL, the CFL, other leagues. He has enough of a resume, enough of a experience to get creative and use someone like him, but for whatever reason, they're not. I mean, I don't think it's something behind the scenes. I think it's just a matter of maybe there's a stubbornness to want to keep it to be a somewhat traditional offense. I think either way, if you're the DC Defenders this week, no matter who's under center for Tampa Bay, I think that's a great opportunity for them to rebound.
All right, Cody, let's see what you got, baby. Let's give us your picks this week. L.A. Wildcats -7 against the Guardians. Where are you going?
I mean, I like the Wildcats to win, but I think the game's going to be closer than expected. I know that the team, the differential there between the offenses is no question, but the Guardians actually have at home, their last home game, that was week 1. They looked really good. Now, granted, that was against Tampa Bay. We know that they're not good either, but New York's pass rush, I mean, they've been a little bit capable of making plays, and if you don't have Matt McGloin under center, you have those other guys, I think it'll be a little closer. So I would shoot, if you're going with the points there, I would go with the Guardians, but I do think the Wildcats win that.
All right, you got Guardians +7, but you got Wildcats winning. All right, Seattle at the Battlehawks, baby. Yeah, they got that attendance going. Seattle at both, actually, because Seattle kicks ass also in attendance. Battlehawks are favored by 12, dude. Seattle has also been very bad. What do you think?
Yeah, and again, I'm probably a little bit on an island here in thinking that the Dragons' defense is a little bit better than they get credit for. We've been tracking team stats kind of at CBS Sports, and no team so far this year has had more tackles for loss than Seattle. And the one thing that the Battlehawks love to do is kind of build their offense on the ground. And so I think, Brandon Silvers is pretty much a lock to give St. Louis a turnover or two or a takeaway or two. But I think the Dragons also have some decent weapons. I mean, Austin Prohl at wide receiver. I think this should be a St. Louis a win, no doubt. I mean, I think it could be a 10-point game, but I still think it has the feel of maybe, a little bit. I mean, in St. Louis, I know they'll be at home, but I picked this week in the weekly picks. I said Battlehawks 26, Dragons 16, so just barely kind of giving the Dragons a point there.
Well, clearly we'll leave that one for last. Actually, let's go with the Sunday night game. The DC Defenders and the Tampa Bay Vipers, and DC is favored by 1. Have fun picking this game. What do you got?
Yeah, I think I think it was more of a tease than reality that Mark Trestman's quarterback rotation looked good last week or looked decent. I know that the home teams have been better. I mean, on the road, I think it's really only Dallas that has a winning record on the road. But I mean, if you're going to pick the Defenders to win, you're going to pick them by more than a point. They're going to. I mean, I think it's going to be a rout. I think Cardale Jones is not going to throw 4 picks again, and just up and down the lineup, DC has a better team. So DC in every category.
I'm with you all the way on that one. And then the game of the week is Sunday at 4:00 on Fox Sports 1. The Houston Renegades are favored by 1, taking on the the Houston Roughnecks taking on the Dallas Renegades. What do you think about that? Because that's going to be a fun game on Sunday.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I think I like Houston. I mean, I'm buying into the. I mean, you're wearing your PJ Walker jersey.
Right.
I got my imaginary one on.
Yep.
I think even if he flips up on a few drives, and he did last week, they just have too much firepower. I think. I know Dallas has had a good defense. I know Landry Jones has kind of turned it on lately. They've been good, on the road. They get to come back home. But I just think, Houston, that offense, PJ Walker, we've seen. I don't want to compare him to the Chiefs, but I think they're kind of, they can go a quarter or two without doing much, and then they've got the capability to just kind of make plays in a hurry.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I think they have an underrated pass rush. I like the Roughnecks.
All right, good stuff there. And if you're following the XFL, you should follow Cody Benjamin on CBS Sports covering the XFL, and follow him on Twitter at Cody J. Benjamin. Cody, thank you for taking some time, man. We really appreciate it, really enjoying the football. Look forward to doing it again down the line.
Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate you having me on.
You got it, my man. There you go, Cody Benjamin. Good stuff there, a little XFL talk. And seriously, I'm glad that they aren't going in the Johnny Manziel direction. Now, this is the part that I kind of find interesting about Johnny Manziel and the XFL and human beings. Okay? I know. You're going like, what the hell is he about to talk about here in all of this? Well, Johnny, tweets out that, hey, Commish, send me the contract. We'll get out there to the XFL and double your ratings and all that. He's not really talking about playing great football. He's just talking about hype, which is what Johnny does, because he's really not a good football player. Never was going to be a good football player. Anyway, I still remember a scout walking in going, he completes 70% of his passes from the pocket. I'm like, so? Have you watched it? It's Mike Evans, and it's, throw it up in the air and my 6'5" receiver. Anyway, so the XFL is not taking Johnny's advice. They're not going after him. They're not bringing him in whatsoever. So let me ask you something. Direct Auto Insurance has got Johnny Manziel and Tanya Harding as spokespeople. Okay, now, where did that marketing department think, hey, let's hire Tanya Harding and Johnny Manziel because people will want – and look, I get it. It's a goof off of them that they would even insure disasters like themselves and not look at their past and obviously shady past and all that other stuff. I get what they're trying to accomplish, but you're still – the part I don't understand is why would you want those two people to represent your product? What is it about them that would actually convince anybody to use your product? Right? Every time I hear those commercials with Manziel and Tanya, it's like, like people are taking Tanya Harding's advice? She doesn't even have good advice on how to take somebody out without getting caught. You know what I mean? Like, she's failed at everything. And then Johnny Manziel's a freaking clown. I can see the phone calls now. You know, the person at Direct Auto Insurance. Yeah, Johnny told me to call. Said you guys would give me a great rate. You know, Tanya Harding called. Says you're going to give us a hell of a discount, or we'll club you. I mean, seriously, like, where was that thought as a good idea? Like, do you want somebody like that representing your company? That part to me, like, makes no sense whatsoever. Every time I see those commercials, man, I just laugh my ass off. Like, all right, I could just see people calling. Yeah, Johnny told me to call. I love Johnny Manziel. And none of you really love Johnny Manziel. You just love train wrecks. So that's why, you know, it's for you guys, hey, the train wreck is entertaining. So this company gets 2 train wrecks to represent their product. It's like, I don't want to call Direct Auto because you've got Johnny Manziel and Tanya Harding. You know what I mean? That's the part that's amazing. Anyway, remember, you can always reach out to the show at 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the program. That's 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the show. You can also reach out to us on Twitter at Big O Show. Many ways to reach out to the program. I got some other stuff at Hialeah Park. We got a loaded show for you. At 1:30, Brad Hopkins is going to stop by, the former Titan great, and we'll talk about several issues with Brad. One about we'll get his thoughts on Tannehill, what he thinks now. We'll get his thoughts on Tom Brady. And I want to talk to Brad about this because if Tom Brady apparently is going to leave, according to Jeff Darlington, he thinks Brady is pretty much gone from New England. If that really happens, which I never really expected, but if it really happens, I think Tennessee is the perfect spot for him. I really do. With that running game, that line, that defense, all of that stuff, I mean, that is, I think the perfect fit, to be honest with you. But anyway, so we're going to talk to him at 1:30. At 2 o'clock, Cole Kubelik is going to join us, XFL analyst. So we'll get his picks. We'll have some fun with Cole. Steve Calabro is going to Will Carroll, the injury expert, will join us at 2:30. We'll find out about the Embiid injury, Tyler Hero, all kinds of other stuff going on in sports. Injuries that may change your sports investment for this weekend. Steve Calabro, talk about a guy that's always ready for a sports investment. I mean, Steve Calabro bets on everything that moves. Okay, you name it, he bets on it. So the Hialeah Park Casino manager, who is an absolute trip, he will join us at 3 o'clock. We'll have some fun with him. We'll have our Dolphin president at 3:30. So we got a bunch of things to talk about. And, of course, we got to talk about a really stupid football player. We got to talk about Tom Brady. I got a lot of things that I want to get into about Tom Brady and his future that I will share when we start that program. Basketball fans in one city played a joke on a player, and it was pretty funny. I want to talk about that. The NFL CBA I want to get into. I got some music news I want to get into, a little Marlins talk, XFL talk, XFL picks. I mean, I've got so much. The Heat taking on Dallas tonight. I got a bunch of things to talk about in the afternoon, and we're going to do it from 1 to 4 down at Hialeah Park. All right, so if you are in the neighborhood and you can join us at Hialeah Park, that would be absolutely awesome. We'll be out there in the second floor poker room, 1 to 4.
Come and eat some awesome food, man.
Yeah, the food is awesome.
Food, everything is amazing.
Yes, that is true. He's not lying when he says the food is amazing. So we will do that. We will wrap it up here on the program. Our 2 hours is done. We thank, of course, Larry Schlossberg and all the great people out here at Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines, folks. We love all of you out there for supporting us and our amazing sponsors. As always, we thank Bill and John putting it all together every single day here on the show. We thank all of you, most of all, for tuning in. We love you as always. Let me see what we got here on the outgo here. Let's see. You can keep the music going a little bit here. I just want to see if we got anything that's important that you want me to answer. Just joined. Sup, everybody? GPP Central. Great point, Big O. I've never had faith in Hurts. I go back and forth with him all the time with my uncle about what he thinks the Dolphins should draft him and groom him. Let's see. Everyone looks good, but does the tape show that that good? That's all that matters. Best player still Chase and Tua. Okay.
Hey, where's Lakeisha been, man? I haven't seen her in a while, right?
No, she was on the other day.
She was on? Okay.
Yeah. Flipside Fishing says, I know the Underwear Olympics don't show a QB under pressure, but what it does show is what kind of throws they can make, how accurate and consistent they can throw it. Well, Flipside Fishing, accuracy matters more when you're under pressure. Accuracy matters more when you've got to look over a line and you're under pressure. Accuracy means a lot more when your running back misses a block and you've got to move, and then you've got to throw the ball under pressure and accurate. Throwing the ball just standing there is not impressive. That's why when Lamar Jackson couldn't hit one damn object in that challenge standing by himself, it was a major indictment on what he is. Because it doesn't matter what quarterback you are. If you're a professional quarterback and you're standing there with no coverage, no rush, no pressure, no nothing, you should be perfect all the time. So you and I are going to disagree on that. It is not impressive throwing in air. No, it's not. It's impressive when there's a 6'5", 340-pound defensive tackle that's about to crush your ass right in the middle of your jaw. It's impressive when there's a werewolf coming around the corner that is just going to level your ass. And you got to look right at him and throw right at him because that's where the blitzer's coming from and that's where your open guy is. That, my friend, is impressive. Underwear throwing is not. But we love you anyway. We'll see you at Hialeah Park from 1 to 4. Be good out there.
This is the Big O Show.